question. Who put out that horrible, terrible, bad rumor that y'all broke up? Who did that?
Your sister.
Toni Braxton.
Right, I don't believe they got married. I think that's a lie. The reason why I think it's a lie, because Stella not gonna do nothing without Slim being there or Slim knowing something about it.
Toni Braxton finally broke her silence on all that Birdman and Cash Money drama, and the whole scene is shaking with it. Birdman's whole Cash Money legacy has always had people whispering about strange rituals and dark vibes, and now it feels like that same energy is catching up to him. And the wild part? Toni is the one who pulled the curtain back. For years, everyone looked at Toni and Birdman like some kind of unlikely fairy tale. Her being this polished superstar and him being a street-built mogul covered in ink and ice. But their relationship was never some soft romance. Behind the diamonds and private jet flashes, there was a weight to the whole situation, a power that didn't feel clean at all. Toni didn't leave because the excitement faded. She walked away because she saw what happens when power starts twisting into something dangerous. Their secret marriage wasn't just gossip. It was real, signed, sealed, and locked in. And then 2 weeks later, the whole thing blew up. Papers flew, stories leaked, and the internet was scrambling trying to make sense of it. Toni hopped online, shut everything down with an all cap, and wiped any sign of their union like she was cutting off a heavy chain. And you know those long-running whispers about what goes on inside Cash Money? Those strange meetings, those questionable moves happening behind closed doors? Artists have been hinting at this for years. People like Juvenile have been talking about those odd decisions that never made sense. The whole situation just keeps getting louder.
You know what was weird to me when I got the Cash Money? It was the weirdest thing. I know they had all these artists on the label.
Right.
So I get to the label, and then all of a sudden, they let all the artists go, all the other artists go.
Enjoying the video so far? Smash that like button and subscribe to Fame Drop so you're here for the next one. Toni got a close look at the part of Birdman's life that most people only whisper about, and she instantly understood what kind of storm she was dealing with. She had survived lupus flare-ups, heart surgery, and real medical scares, but this situation carried a whole different kind of danger. Toni stepped back fast, cleaning her socials, distancing herself from that whole circle, and locking back into her performances and her health. Meanwhile, Birdman's world started looking rough. Cameras caught him dozing off during a show, moving slow and looking worn out, like he had drained himself with bad habits or heavy stress. People online began joking, calling him the Black Joe Biden, leaving comment sections in chaos. Ever since that Hot Boys reunion tour, all kinds of clips hit the internet showing Birdman under bright lights, eyes half shut, drifting mid-sentence while the crowd murmured in the background. Some folks claimed he was dealing with seizures. Others said it looked like a relapse, and those clips went viral in minutes. It reminded everyone of moments when Birdman looked like his internal battery just quit in front of the world, but his inner circle rushed to shut down any talk. BG jumped on camera laughing it off, saying Birdman wasn't high, just struggling with the teleprompter, brushing it away like it was nothing. And that's the same line everyone around Birdman kept pushing. No health crisis, no relapse, just fatigue and bad angles. Maybe that's true. Or maybe it was something darker creeping back around. It's hard to forget the way Birdman kept nodding under the spotlight while the music rolled on. And it hits even harder when you remember how many people tied to that empire crashed out emotionally, professionally, or spiritually. Artists who dimmed, careers that evaporated, voices that never returned the same. So let's keep it real. Toni didn't just leave a partner. She walked away from a whole system that looked like it was slowly collapsing. Birdman's name has been connected to the word ritual for years, but people get it twisted. When folks talk about Cash Money rituals, they're not imagining candles or symbols. The real rituals were all about power, loyalty, and control. From the outside, Cash Money looked like a record label. On the inside, it moved more like a private club with rules you didn't break. Every new artist had to show respect before they earned that chain. And once you look back at the details, the kiss on the lips, the daddy nickname, the matching ink, it all looks strange. Those weren't stunts, those were signals. You didn't just sign a contract. You entered a lifestyle with rules you followed daily. Birdman turned routine into a performance, lining up luxury cars, stacking bills on camera, tossing chains around like medals. All of it had a message. This came from me. Never forget your position. It was loyalty on display, and everyone had a part to play. Staying quiet was part of the job, too. People who resisted, like UNLV or Kilo G, just faded out of conversations. Some voices online claimed Kilo was taken out for speaking up, though nothing was proven. But things didn't hit the public until Wayne finally stopped playing along. That's when the pretty family picture of Cash Money cracked wide open. The whole magic act turned into something much more controlled and cold. People hype up Cash Money rituals like they're some secret occult moves, but the truth is simpler and sharper. Birdman used his own system to keep his artists locked in. The real sacrifices were independence, freedom, and identity, and he repeated those power moves so often that people started believing in the show, even when it wasn't real. That was the world Toni walked into. She saw how people got silent when Birdman stepped in the room. That didn't feel like affection to her. It felt like a warning. Around him, the rule was worship, and Toni wasn't built to kneel for anybody. She'd fought too hard for peace and balance to let someone take over her life, so she broke the pattern the only way you can, by walking away. And right after she left, the whole energy around Birdman started slipping. Their quick and quiet marriage became the opening chapter of Birdman's downfall. Even though they went public back in 2016, they reportedly tied the knot sometime last year in secret. But the honeymoon barely lasted. 2 days after the ceremony, Toni filed for divorce and called the union irretrievably broken. She later pulled the filing in January 2025, but by mid-2025, when both of them scrubbed each other off Instagram, it was clear everything was done for real. Then Birdman hopped online and started throwing shade at Toni, accusing her of trying to cash out, calling her a gold digger, and saying she pawned her ring while chasing a $160 million payout. Once that hit gossip blogs and reaction streams, the whole digital world exploded. A culture war-style divide formed instantly, with people picking sides like it was a championship game. Outside of hip-hop, Birdman's reputation took a hit. R&B and pop audiences painted him as manipulative. But in certain rap and trap spaces, his tough talk attitude only made him look more like a boss. Money-wise, Birdman dodged major losses since the divorce filing was dismissed. But Toni's situation got complicated. She had public sympathy at first, but that $160 million claim and the missing $5 million ring sparked conversations about her past bankruptcies, slowing down some brand deals. Still, the drama pushed her classic songs back into heavy streaming and boosted her documentary work about financial independence for women. Cash Money Records took some hits too. Those internal fractures exposed Birdman's shaky relationships with old-school artists, and mid-tier acts, especially producers under Lil Wayne's Young Money, started freezing collaborations with Birdman-signed artists once the feud went public. But Birdman flipped the chaos into marketing for rich gang drops, turning gossip clicks into paychecks. When the dust settled, Birdman kept ownership of Cash Money, but he lost the cultural goodwill he once had. Toni walked away with public empathy and fresh attention, even though some people questioned what she really wanted. The old Cash Money alliance was officially over. Now, speaking of money, those financial rituals behind Cash Money Records have always been legendary, and not in a pretty way. There's a reason Jadakiss joked about it on stage.
Talk about the guy that don't pay the producers to the last minute. Oh, let me stop. I love Birdman.
Cash Money really did shape the entire Southern hip-hop wave, dropping hit after hit and building a legacy that stamped a whole era. But behind the shiny rides, designer fits, and mansion photos, the business side of things drifted into a zone that felt way less like tough management and way more like straight-up exploitation wrapped in luxury vibes. Behind the scenes, there was a whole setup designed to keep artists locked in and depending on Birdman for years. A lot of artists later said the big advances they were promised either never showed up in full or came with so many recoupable strings that nobody could tell what they actually owed. And when T's $10 million lawsuit came up, it revealed something wild. His early contract, signed when he was still young but legally contracting on his own terms, had one lawyer representing both him and the label, which created a built-in conflict of interest. That meant every deal tilted in Cash Money's favor from the jump. Lil Wayne's 2017 fight with the label took things even deeper. His lawsuit claimed Cash Money and Universal were moving behind his back, messing with his streaming and publishing profits, leaving him fighting for money he felt he earned fair and square. He eventually settled, but everybody knew he should have walked away with way more than he got. Just like Suge Knight on the West Coast, Birdman had his own style, fronting flashy cars, a stack of bills, or icy jewelry as symbolic payments, keeping artists attached to the label long after the hype cooled off. Those contracts were part of the ritual too. That 1998 Cash Money deal with Universal became legendary. An 80-20 profit split leaning heavy toward Cash Money, and Birdman used the same playbook on his own artists. Most performers didn't own their masters. Royalty statements were almost impossible to see, and the whole system moved like it was designed to keep one man in full control. The deeper you look, the stranger it gets.
I never allowed none of the labels to own nothing. I own everything.
Universal.
No, Universal never owned nothing.
Early negotiators like Wendy Day never saw the money they were supposed to receive, and that says a lot about how things were really running inside that machine. Birdman's infamous line, "Sue me, when I have to pay you, you'll get paid," became legendary behind industry doors, cold, direct, and a reminder of who held the power. Later on, Universal stepped in and helped cover Cash Money's debts, but it wasn't charity. They took more control over distribution, flipping unpaid artist earnings into corporate leverage. That's how insiders ended up calling the whole situation ghost royalties. Funds that should have gone to artists, but somehow kept getting rerouted into higher-level pockets. Loyalty brought you Lambos, iced-out jewelry, and front-row treatment. But if you pushed back, you got late checks, stalled albums, or quiet shutouts. Meanwhile, helicopters, mansions, and Stunner Island visuals kept the fans believing everything was golden. By 2025, insiders were describing Cash Money as a medieval label model, with Birdman and Slim calling every shot while younger talents like Jackies showed near-lifetime loyalty even without real control. And none of this was some mystical ritual. It was decades of habits that used money as a weapon, proving the whole system always tilted toward the top. That's when the biggest names started making moves behind Birdman. Quiet moves, but loud enough for anyone paying attention. The tension inside Cash Money was bubbling all through 2025. Some artists flexed, some stayed silent, but every single one had a plan. Lil Wayne, who'd kept years of tension bottled up, made it clear the old rules were done. During the Hot Boys reunion tour, Wayne and the crew stepped off stage mid-speech while Birdman was hyping the crowd. Clips exploded online instantly. Just weeks earlier, at Lil Louisiana Fest 2025, Wayne had straight up cut Birdman off mid-intro, not letting him finish a dedication to Ms. Gladys. Fans and insiders knew exactly what that meant. All that forgiveness from the 2018 settlement expired. Old checks, old betrayals, and old power plays were back in the spotlight, and Wayne was claiming his space again. Juvenile played it smoother but still let his frustration show. On the Cash Money Millionaire's 30th anniversary tour, he publicly pointed out how Birdman's booking team was underpaying or sidelining Turk after money disagreements. He admitted it put him in a tough position, stuck between loyalty and doing what's right for his people. By midsummer, he shifted his focus into fresh projects instead of dragging more drama, but everybody could feel it. He was loyal, not blind. Then there's Drake. We already heard K-Dot call him a snake, and Drake always moves like he's thinking 3 steps ahead. He didn't fire shots at Birdman publicly, but behind the curtain, he was making major moves. His 2025 lawsuit against Universal, Birdman's distribution powerhouse, wasn't personal, it was straight up chess. Anyone paying attention could see he was outgrowing the Cash Money orbit and building independence while keeping certain ties intact when it benefited him. Nicki Minaj kept a sharp version of silence. Birdman bragged in interviews that Cash Money made over $2 billion from Wayne, Drake, and Nicki, claiming he paid them very well. But Nicki didn't confirm or deny any of it. Her releases started running through her own imprint setups instead of Birdman's lanes, keeping respect without stepping into any of the heat. A calculated move, and a smart one. By the end of 2025, Birdman's big three weren't really his anymore. Wayne's on-stage cutoffs, Juvenile's balanced but honest approach, Drake's legal power plays, and Nicki's quiet independence made the picture clear. Loyalty had limits, and these stars were rewriting their own stories. Behind the scenes, whispers were everywhere, lawsuits brewing, alliances shifting, exits forming, and anyone watching closely knew the next big move could flip Cash Money's world upside down. By late 2025, Cash Money studios and tours had turned into ground zero for chaos and raw tension. The label drama couldn't stay behind closed doors anymore. It spilled into social media, leaked footage, and live moments fans replayed non-stop. Hip-hop fans eat this kind of mess up, and Cash Money delivered every single time. Inside the studio, control battles and clashes took over. Birdman kept strict control over timelines, features, and even which tracks were allowed to drop. If an artist wasn't cooperating, whole albums could get frozen without warning. Leaks showed Wayne and Birdman arguing in heated studio blow-ups over song choices, royalties, and creative direction. Messy moments that proved Wayne wasn't bowing down anymore. Meanwhile, Drake and Nicki kept their distance. Literally, they recorded their verses remotely to stay out of Birdman-controlled sessions. A simple move that dodged chaos while keeping their output solid. And the tour side? Whew, just as wild. The Cash Money Millionaires' 30th anniversary tour turned into a roller coaster of canceled shows, last-minute lineup changes, and missed appearances. One huge concert was canceled minutes before it started, sparking rumors of internal fights and failed planning. Fans saw it as another sign of Birdman's heavy-handed controlling style and how loyalty always came with strings. And when they did hit the stage, the tension was impossible to ignore. During the Hot Boys segment, Wayne cut Birdman off mid-speech in front of a packed crowd, another loud signal that the old unity was gone. Missed arrivals and sudden lineup swaps kept fans guessing, turning shows into unpredictable spectacles where nobody knew what might pop off. Every move, every expression, every post became a clue, and fans watched like detectives. Meanwhile, backstage, industry insiders and sponsors started backing away. Brands were hesitant to support Cash Money events because of the unpredictability and the risk of public drama exploding mid-show. But hardcore fans, they loved it. They picked apart every gesture on stage, analyzed every Instagram caption, and kept the rumor mill spinning non-stop. The studios, the tours, the social posts, it all blended into one giant Cash Money soap opera, a high-stakes game of loyalty, power, and entertainment that nobody wanted to miss.